The center of a massless balance beam with a length 2L rests on a pivot at its center, and there are two massless charges glued to the balance beam, being plus Q at the center of the beam and minus Q at the left end of the beam. And at a distance h below the balance beam, there's a third charge, plus Q, which is fixed in place. And a block of mass m is hanging from the balance beam at a distance x from the center, and gravity acts on this block. So in part A, we'll find the distance x for the position of the rope that's holding the block when the beam is balanced. So this means that the net torque about the pivot is 0 for the beam to be balanced. So because we're taking the torque about the pivot, then the electric force acting on a positive charge does not produce a torque. So the electric field acting at the point of the negative charge is a superposition of the electric fields of the two positive charges acting at that point. So from this charge, we have a radial vector, and the electric field due to this charge acting at this point is Coulomb's constant by the charge on the squared distance between the two charges. So the squared magnitude of this radial vector is L squared plus h squared, and taking this angle as theta, we can find the magnitude of the unit radial vector pointing in the direction of R1. So the x component is cosine theta, so that will be the adjacent edge on the hypotenuse, which is the magnitude of the radial vector, being the square root of L squared plus h squared in the x direction. And the y component of this unit vector points upwards, so we have the opposite edge on the hypotenuse in the y direction. And then plus the electric field due to the second charge, so we have the radial vector R2 in this direction. So the electric field is Coulomb's constant by the charge on the squared distance between the two charges, which is L squared in this case, and the unit radial vector in this case has a negative x component. So this acts in the minus I hat direction. So the net electric field acts something like this, in a negative x and positive y direction. So the electric force on this charge acts in the opposite direction of the electric field because it's a negative charge. And if we resolve this force into a vertical and horizontal component, we see that the horizontal component contributes no torque about the pivot. So we're only interested in the vertical component of the electric force. So that will be the charge being minus Q by the vertical component of the electric field. So that will be K times Q. And multiplying these two terms, we get L squared plus h squared to the power of 1 plus a half, or 3 on 2. And that's multiplied by h. So taking a net torque about the pivot, this force produces an anti-clockwise torque about the pivot. So by the right hand rule, we take anti-clockwise torques as positive. So what we have is the force being kq squared by h on L squared plus h squared to the 3 on 2 by the moment arm, which is L, and minus the torque produced by the force due to this mass. So the force due to this mass on the beam is the mass by the gravitational acceleration, and this produces a clockwise torque about the pivot. So we have minus mg by the moment arm, and that's equal to 0. So therefore we can take mgx to the right hand side and solve for x. So that would be kq squared by hl over mg by L squared plus h squared to the 3 on 2. So that's where the mass needs to be placed for this beam to be balanced. And now we'll go to part B, where we have the grass seed plots of the electric field configurations for the three charges, all of equal magnitude, but with different signs, located at the positions of the charges shown in this problem, and which of the grass seed plots correspond to the signs of the charges for the problem above. So remember we had a positive charge below the beam, a positive charge at the pivot, and a negative charge at the end of the beam. So that means the electric field lines between a positive and negative charge should be connected. So that rules out this figure. And the electric fields between like charges are not continuous. So that rules out figure B. And in figure C, we have the electric field lines between these two charges not connected. So that rules out this figure. So D is the correct answer. Where the electric field lines between a positive and negative charge are connected, and they're not connected between the two positive charges.